All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about the lightweight division, specifically Gervonta Tank Davis, Rolly Romero, but also a big reveal that Gervonta Davis made ahead of his fight, and that is about Shakur Stevenson. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Man, we've got a good fight. Hopefully, we have a good fight coming up this weekend between Gervonta Tank Davis and Rolly Romero for the WBA regular lightweight title that Gervonta Davis holds. In the lead up to the fight, however, Gervonta Davis said that he has his eyes on somebody else, and that is the reason why he has to make sure to stay in tip-top shape, stay on top of his game, because he sees this guy coming after him, and that is a concern for him, and it is Shakur Stevenson. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, if you're a longtime subscriber, thank you so much for your support. You can hit that like button if you wouldn't mind before you leave the video, if it's applicable. All right, so let's get into this fight this weekend. Gervonta Tank Davis, Rolly Romero for the WBA regular title. And it should be a good fight. It's going to be an interesting fight no matter which way it goes. Well, it's going to be an interesting fight. I can't say no matter which way it goes, because if it goes to Rolly Romero, it'll be way beyond interesting. It would be pretty much the upset of the century. I don't care what the odds are on that fight with Rolly and Gervonta Tank Davis shifting. And it's shifting heavily towards Rolly Romero the closer we get to the fight. I just think that is a whole lot of people, figuring, man, Rolly's talking a good game. Let me throw this money out there just in case, right? And the PBC is doing a really good job of selling it. But, hey, man, I could be wrong, man. There's that feeling in the air that Gervonta Davis may be susceptible to Rolly Romero. But anyway, after that fight is over, Gervonta Davis will most likely be the winner and move on to the next guy. Now, in what he said, though, I found really interesting when he was getting interviewed for, I guess it was I forget, what is that, 24-hour access show? And he was going through this little segment of the show where he was getting acupuncture on his hands and, doing different cryogenics and things necessary to help him with his recovery. All the new high-tech stuff that they do. And he mentioned why he was doing it. And this, I think, is very, very telling, because this would be the second time that I know of him having mentioned Shakur Stevenson and fighting Shakur Stevenson. He said that, he right now is getting to be, he's 27 years old. So he's not the young kid on the block. He's not an older, he's not one of the older fighters either, but he's right in the middle. And that he needed to make sure that he has to keep himself all the way in shape and all that, because he knows that Shakur Stevenson, and he also did mention Richardson Hitchens, which is honestly, that's pretty good, man. I always appreciate that he said Richardson Hitchens, because that's a PBC, that is a, PBC fighter, I think fights at 135, 140. Very good, very, very good fighter. Haitian fighter. I do believe he fights out of New York. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but a very, very good fighter, Richardson Hitchens. But he said, look, man, Shakur Stevenson is coming up behind me, and I got to be making sure that, I'm all the way on top, because this dude is going to be coming, because this dude is coming after me, right? First admission that this dude, not the first, it's the second admission, because before he also said that maybe he would move down to 130 pounds and go set all these dudes right at 130 pounds. That's what Gervonta Davis said. And then so Shakur Stevenson and them had a little bit, Shakur Stevenson, put his eyes big and put a little, said, come on then, right? Now, I don't think Gervonta Davis said anything after that, but that really is I believe, the super fight coming down the road, a fight that I think is similar to a fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford, where you have two of the best fighters in the world who are fighting one another that are in the same weight class, who are both relatively close to their prime. I think the age difference may be similar too. I think Terrence Crawford is 34, will be 35 in September. Errol just turned 32. So it's about a 3-year difference between the two of them. I think Shakur is 23 or 24, and Gervonta Davis is 27, is 27. So roughly speaking, they got the same age difference between the two sets of men. But at lightweight, that is the fight down the road that is going to be absolutely, man, one of the best fights, like they repeated, maybe not a Hagler Hearns because Sugar Ray Leonard and Hearns, because that was at 147. I don't know. You may say, Sweet Pea versus or Pernell Whitaker versus Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. or maybe a Alexis Arguello versus Aaron Pryor, one of those type of big fights in that smaller weight class that we can look forward to. And I'm glad that he said it, man, because that is really what boxing needs is, and specifically around Gervonta Davis, because, when Gervonta Davis, and it seems like he's still going to be with Mayweather Promotions, a lot of people said when all of that conversation came up about him leaving that it was really, to keep his name out there, to keep the fight out there or whatever. Not going to say that for sure because Floyd Mayweather Jr. hasn't showed up, has not been at any of the press conferences or any of the things for this Rolly Romero fight. So maybe that's what he means by Floyd's going to step back because he's not going to be there, on top of Gervonta Davis, speaking for Gervonta Davis. But whatever the case is, during the time that he's been at Mayweather Promotions, there's been all, that talk about whether or not he'd be able to make the big fights, with the Lomachenkos, the Devin Haney's, George Kambosos, obviously, and this one right here, Shakur Stevenson. And this seems like something that he wants, man, and could be that thing that really catapults him or Shakur Stevenson to that really, really big star level that these guys are looking for to do, because they are in my opinion, they're very, very evenly matched, much more so than Rolly, because what Rolly's bringing is that Rolly's a big guy. Rolly's they say he's a big guy. I'm looking at these guys standing each other. He doesn't look that much bigger to me, but then again, I've not seen him in the ring, with their shirt off. And sometimes those guys' backs look really, really big, when they're in the ring. So, that may be the case with Gervonta, but there's such a skill gap between Rolly and Gervonta that it's really hard for me to believe that Rolly's going to overcome that without, me just really, really missing something big. But Shakur and Tank, that right there is just, man, that is one for the ages. That is the type of fight that, unlike what Canelo Alvarez says about chasing greatness, that's chasing greatness. Chasing greatness is when you're fighting fighters around your weight class that are very, very difficult fights to win and that people want to see. When you continually beat people that people want to see you fight, that's how you become great, in my opinion. Not picking this guy or picking that guy because he's got this belt or that belt and laying out all the belts that you won, because people don't pay attention to those belts. They pay attention to the fighters. And if they could make this fight, man, that would be it. But it is definitely clear that Gervonta Davis has his eyes on that. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.